Hi friends, I hope you all are doing really well in your respective lives. Here is Kunal Nagpal from Nagpal Academic Academy, and I feel greatly privileged to welcome you once again to this great portal wherein we have excellent discussions on the core matters of strategic concern with regard to the very relevant global economic matters. My dear friends, in today's discussion, we are basically going to have a very elaborate talk on exploring the core prospects for the Indian economy with regard to the manufacturing operations. If we talk about the global perspective, various companies worldwide are actually divesting their operations from the Chinese economy. And in this particular scenario, India has the huge opportunity to take the advantage. If it basically aligns its overall energy with the help of well synchronized and coordinated efforts, along with an optimum utilization of resources in a well planned manner, India can definitely take the full advantage, the full fledged advantage of this particular scenario. And my dear friends, in this regard, let's begin our discussion on exploring the core aspects with regard to sustainability, self-reliance, and indigenous manufacturing. That is the path to transforming India into a global manufacturing hub. My dear friends, actually, the world economy has been disrupted over the past 2 years. And as a part of globalized economy, Indian economies have also faced the headwinds. Despite the current geopolitical environment, high commodity prices and rising inflation, the Indian market is quite optimistic about the future. Yes, India is actually on the verge of becoming a global manufacturing hub, owing to the increased impetus laid by the government on indigenous production. The Make in India initiative and the production linked incentive, that is the PLI scheme, are actually the two notable government programs from which the manufacturing companies can actually benefit. So, with 17% of India's GDP coming from manufacturing, the sector is basically attracting the investments from around the world. So, sustainability, self-reliance, and indigenous manufacturing is definitely the path to transforming India into a global manufacturing hub. And now, let's talk about the aspect of China Plus One. Since the pandemic, the China Plus One strategy of basically diversifying the manufacturing and production to the new regions has basically gained traction. So in order to reduce the dependency on China, various multinationals are actually looking at alternate locations for setting up their production hubs. So, given some of the inherent advantages like a sizable labor pool with an edge in the demographics, a burgeoning consumer market, and the government's emphasis on expanding the manufacturing base, India is actually emerging as a viable alternative. Dear guys, in the beginning I had stated that if India takes full advantage with critical analysis of its core strengths in a well-planned and synchronized manner, then obviously India can take maximum advantage of China Plus One. And here we have discussed the core strengths of the Indian economy, that is, the sizable labor pool with an edge in demographics, a burgeoning consumer market, and the government's emphasis on expanding the manufacturing base, all thanks to our extremely visionary and far-sighted Prime Minister, our great leader, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and his entirely spectacular governance. So my dear friends, now let's talk about one specific company, that is Godrej and Boyce, which is actually playing a very crucial role in shaping India as a global manufacturing hub by opening a number of new facilities and widespread investments across the country. And this is the flagship company of the Godrej Group. And these facilities will basically cater to their consumer durables and industrial products arms. My dear friends, the India Today crew basically spoke with Zurvan Marolia, Senior Vice President Godrej and Boyce, about the company's many efforts that have not only led to its consistent development over the years, but have also benefited the country's economic progress and global commitments. So, learning the hard way in the aftermath of global supply chain disruptions, Godrej and Boyce has actually reduced the reliance on imported components and established its manufacturing capabilities in India by basically focusing on improving the production capacity as well as the domestic supply chain, stated Marolia. We have also engaged with a number of suppliers to basically build a partnership alliance with MSMEs and support their growth beyond the transaction through a project beyond sourcing. So my dear friends, in addition to expanding its global operations, the company Godrej and Boyce basically aims to solidify its leadership positions across all its categories in India. Marolia says, we actually have a 60% plus local value addition in our B2C businesses, that is the business to consumer business domains, and plan to grow it in the future years as well, resulting in a more robust and self-sufficient supply chain. Our exports are basically expected to expand at a rate of more than 30% each year over the next 2 years. So self-reliance in India's manufacturing sector is the basic theme of our discussion, which entirely revolves around the concept of going vocal for local, that is Atmanirbharta, and which automatically translates into self-reliance, as we have just said. All thanks once again to our respected Prime Minister. So my dear friends, with an emphasis on producing locally and exporting worldwide to actually enter the virtuous cycle, the Indian manufacturing companies are actually increasingly embracing the motto vocal for local and make in India for the entire world. So with a strong influence in the country's Swadeshi movement, Godrej and Boyce has actually played a pivotal role in defining India's journey of self-reliance through manufacturing. And with humble beginnings as a lock company in 1897 to pioneering India's clean energy landscape and contributing to the nation's space and defense missions, Godrej and Boyce has actually become a household name. For any legacy company, it is actually critical to evolve and adapt to its market and changing environments in order to remain competitive. Godrej and Boyce has always endeavored to be one step ahead of the competition by actually developing the purpose-driven innovative products that actually tackle the future challenges. Marolia says, adding that the company's engineering expertise and investments in the right places have actually enabled them to remain relevant to its customers and preserve an industry competitive edge. For instance, we actually supported India's healthcare system with our latest innovation, Insulin Cool Plus, which has actually significantly simplified the process of storing insulin, making the lives of diabetic people easier. So in order to stay competitive in the 125th year, Godrej and Boyce is significantly integrating the modern technology into its daily operations and products, prioritizing the indigenous manufacturing within India and increasing the export targets while also ensuring sustainability across all the manufacturing processes. My dear friends, the Colorful facility is actually a beacon of innovation, embodying our good and green vision, says Merolia, while emphasizing the company's manufacturing capabilities. So Godrej and Boyce has actually invested over 1,000 crores in this state-of-the-art industrial premise developed on a greenfield structure and designed to house 10 production facilities for our businesses, including security solutions, interior, material handling, tooling, precision engineering, and aerospace. The infrastructure and amenities are actually second to none, providing the ideal environment for our operations. Now, let's talk about technological adoption with regard to the company Godrej and Boyce, which very elaborately talks about how this particular company is actually helping immensely to is actually helping the Indian economy immensely to accelerate its overall pace in the manufacturing domain. My dear friends, the manufacturing industry in India is gradually shifting towards more automated and process-driven production with the main objective of increasing productivity and efficiency. Technology has actually enabled Godrej and Boyce to make significant advancements in quality assurance. So, in our 125th year, we are actually supporting the government's vision of self-reliance, that is Atmanirbharta, by making significant investments in cutting-edge technology, including robotics, artificial intelligence, and Industry 4.0, skilling and upskilling of existing and new talent, and ensuring sustainability across all our manufacturing processes, Merolia added. Therefore, the company has in the past and still continues to partner with the startups to actually gain access to the technologies that can basically augment its offerings. Hence, we are actively engaging with IITs across India, particularly in Kanpur, Chennai, and Mumbai, to basically strengthen our relationships with the startups, he said. Godrej and Boyce's overarching objective is basically to harness the smart technology while adopting an entirely holistic approach to the consumer experience, resulting in increased productivity, quality, cost savings, reduction in delivery times, improved safety, and increased employee morale. And they have improved their smartness quotient with each subsequent manufacturing facility built over the past 5 to 7 years. Now let's talk about the sustainability and the community support being provided. My dear friends, climate change, rising socioeconomic inequality, and the upheaval of the entire ecosystems are actually very imminent risks to our overall survival. The only approach to solving these great difficulties is actually through unprecedented engagement and action from the companies, investors, and the government. Over many decades, Godrej and Boyce has actually made several investments in the environment as well as to make its products, processes, and businesses greener and more sustainable. And if we talk specifically about the last decade, Godrej and Boyce has actually invested over 500 crores towards good and green initiatives. And I would also like to bring to your knowledge, the company Godrej and Boyce generates 1/3 of its portfolio revenues from the products that are basically good for the society and green in terms of environmental indicators. Our commitment to innovation, sustainability, and durability drives us forward immensely as we introduce a slew of products under the good and green banner, such as Godrej air conditioners with environmentally friendly refrigerants through our appliances division and 3D printed concrete and recycled concrete blocks and pavers through our construction arm and electric forklifts through our material handling arm, proclaimed Mr. Merolia. Further, 1/3 of Godrej and Boyce revenues actually come from good and green products, hence indicating a conscious switch by the consumers to more eco-friendly solutions. And from an energy point of view, the company is also investing in the solar and green battery technology. My dear friends, the companies that actually prioritize India's long-term development in their overall growth strategy will actually benefit in the coming decade. And it's quite obvious, as in our yesterday's discussion also, we had very specifically talked about the green revolution across the Indian economy. And my dear friends, it's actually the need of the hour to pay utmost importance and emphasis towards the sustainable development goals, particularly SDG 7 and SDG 13, which basically talk about the green energy and overall eco-friendly ecosystems. If we consider the upcoming threats of the climate change, and this is really the call of nature. So we need to act very, very smartly. That is, we need to pay utmost emphasis and attention towards designing the long-term strategies with smart goals, that is specific, measurable, accurate, relevant, and time-bound goals with a very strong vision in order to achieve success in this particular aspect. And my dear friends, Mr. Merolia further shares, we have actually implemented a comprehensive rural development programs in the communities to actually enhance women's livelihoods, agricultural productivity, education, health, and water and sanitation infrastructure. So it very beautifully explains that Mr. Merolia is paying very much attention towards the core matters of strategic concern, which our government is actually trying to address and make the masses aware to actually act now before it gets too late. So, aside from differentiated sustainable practices and processes, product innovation, and manufacturing, the company Godrej and Boyce has always been at the forefront of preserving the biodiversity in the country in holistic terms. And its flagship initiative protects hundreds of acres of mangroves in Mumbai. Over the years, it has actually emerged as one of the most socially and environmentally responsible companies in the country by actually approaching sustainability efforts in a scalable manner to basically ensure that it generates long-term value for its company, the communities it serves, and the environment. So, unveiling the company's ambitious plans for the future expansion and growth, Mr. Merolia shared, we are extremely bullish in the industrial space where the government's Atmanirbhar policies have actually thrown in opportunities for our aerospace and precision fabrication businesses. So, with a significant interest in infrastructure, we have many of our businesses actively contributing to the major government projects. We are also investing to basically develop the products and create infrastructure to offer IoT and value-added services. And in the furniture industry, we are basically considering incorporating embedded technology into our forthcoming products. So the company Godrej & Boyce actually foresees growth potential in its overall businesses through the opportunities in the healthcare, education, logistics, power, and renewables sectors. And my dear friends, all these sectors are actually under major focus by the government of India. And also, if we talk at the global level, various countries are paying utmost importance to these particular sectors, focusing on the core needs of the hour with regard to the sustainable development. Hence, we can say that by being the torchbearers of societal change, economic development, and environmental sustainability, Godrej & Boyce has actually indeed made these 125 years count with an amazing glory. The company has basically strived to align their goals with the government's vision of actually India becoming Atmanirbhar. And this has fueled its businesses to continue to innovate through the new products and solutions. Hence, with significant structural reforms implemented over the last decade, and India as an economy with a stable macroeconomic, external, and policy environment, it is actually an opportune time to basically overcome the barriers impeding the manufacturing sector. So, my dear friends, in this particular discussion, we have actually been able to discover the core aspects of the company, Godrej & Boyce, and how it is actually strategizing its overall policies with regard to pay maximum importance by aligning its overall goals and strategies with the government's vision of making India Atmanirbhar, that is self-reliant, and simultaneously paying utmost emphasis towards the current needs of the hour if we talk about the global perspective of making the economy, the entire global economy, sustainable. So, my dear friends, I hope you have been benefited immensely with this great session. So, I really wish that you take notes when we discuss the very important and relevant matters, since it will help you to actually cultivate and enhance your overall knowledge and your overall awareness level about the Indian economy and the efforts being made by the great companies in our economy in order to align with the government's vision. And this is extremely important, and this is the moral responsibility of we citizens to actually be aware of our journey, where we are heading, and how effectively we are answering the call of the global change. So on this note, I would like to conclude my today's session, and I really hope you take excellent care of yourselves until we meet next. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.